crying out for us, hey, listen to me. In fact, it goes on to say, and if you're just joining us, we're in Proverbs chapter 1. She cries out in the chief concourses at the openings of the gates in the city. She speaks her words.
How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? For scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn at my rebuke. Surely I will pour out my spirit on you. I will make my words known to you.
Verse 24, because I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand and no one regarded. Because you disdained all my counsel and would have none of my rebuke. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your terror comes. When your terror comes like a storm and your destruction comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you.
Now notice in verse 28, then they will call on me and I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me. Because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord, they would have none of my counsel and despised my every rebuke. Therefore they shall eat the fruit of their own way and will be filled to the full with their own fancies.
Sounds bad, but verse 32 says, for the turning away of the simple will slay them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them.
Now contrast that, but whoever listens to me will dwell safely and will be secure without fear of evil.
Whoever listens to me, to wisdom, and that's the problem. Not everyone listens to wisdom. Chapter 8, verse 1, does not wisdom cry out and understanding lift her voice?
Yeah, let's keep reading there in the chapter 8. Does not wisdom cry out and understanding lift her voice? She takes her stand on the top of the high hill, beside the way where the paths meet. She cries out by the gates, at the entry of the city, at the entrance of the doors.
Yeah, again, I love this picture of wisdom calling out. Keep going, Rick.
Okay, to you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men. O you simple ones, understand prudence, and you fools, be of an understanding heart. Listen, for I will speak of excellent things, and from the opening of my lips will come right things.
Why listen? Why are they excellent things?
Here's why. For my mouth will speak truth. Wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are righteousness. Nothing crooked or perverse is in them. They are all plain to him who understands and right to those who find knowledge. Receive my instruction and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things one may desire cannot compare with her.
And you don't have to stop there. We're in Proverbs chapter 8, verse 32, and my delight was with the sons of men. Now there, listen to me, my children, for blessed are those who keep my ways, who hear instruction and be wise and do not disdain it.
So why listen?
Blessed is the man who listens to me, wisdom says, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord.
And what if somebody doesn't listen, though?
Verse 36, but he who sins against me wrongs his own soul, and all those who hate me love death.
The difference here is that some will value wisdom,
Right.
and some people won't. So like Proverbs chapter 3, beginning at verse 13, it says this, happy is the man who finds wisdom and the man who gains understanding, for her proceeds are better than the profits of silver, and her her gain than fine gold.
Yeah, so, and let's up the value even more. Verse 15, Proverbs 3, she is more precious than rubies, and all the things you may desire cannot compare to her.
And we'll go a little higher even. Length of days is in her right hand, in her left hand, riches and honor.
And more, even more, her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace.
She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her, and happy are all who retain her.
So trying to make wisdom as as attractive as you possibly can. What more can you say except the source? Verse 19, the Lord by wisdom founded the earth, by understanding he established the heavens, and by his knowledge the depths were broken up and clouds dropped down the dew.
So, my son, let them not depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, so they will be life to your soul and grace to your neck.
And then you will walk safely in your way, and your foot will not stumble.
And when you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down, and your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden terror, nor of trouble from the wicked when it comes, for the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught.
We're sharing these with you so that you will accept, you will see what Proverbs 4 verse 7 says. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and in all you're getting, get understanding.
And then we can keep reading in that fourth chapter and hear the book of Proverbs say, exalt her and she will promote you. She will bring you honor when you embrace her. She will place on your head an ornament of grace and a crown of glory. She will deliver to you. I love this picture of this beautifying you, as it were, with her as an adornment.
And sometimes people wonder why it is they don't have these beautifications, blessings that God has promised in their life, and they've not accepted or not turned to his wisdom. If you keep reading in chapter 4 of Proverbs, starting in verse 10, hear my son, receive my sayings, and the years of your life will be many. I have taught you in the way of wisdom. I have led you in right paths.
And two more verses. When you walk, your steps will not be hindered, and when you run, you will not stumble. Take firm hold of instruction. Do not let go. Keep her, for she is your life.
We have the sense in the book of Proverbs of that we have to feel, we have to accept the true value of God's wisdom. And if we keep reading, we want to show you that we have to remain teachable.
Oh, that's important. That's real important. Chapter 10 and verse 8 says, the wise in heart will receive commands, but a prating fool will fall.
And later in chapter 10 and verse 14, wise people store up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction.
In chapter 16, verse 23, the heart of the wise teaches his mouth and will adds learning to his lips.
Right, we participate in the learning and teaching process by having these hearts that are open, and by then accepting these words and speaking them ourselves. Speaking of the heart, Proverbs 18 and verse 15, the heart of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. So we're actually looking for it.
And that's not the way all people are, because there are some people who think they know it all already. So we've got Proverbs chapter 12 and verse 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he who heeds counsel is wise. The wise man is the guy who will be quiet long enough to listen and learn something. The fool is the guy who thinks he knows it all already.
And that requires humility, and that requires respecting somebody more than yourself. And that's why Proverbs 15:33 says, the fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility.
And listen to this, because this is not what we often like. The ear that hears the rebuke of life will abide among the wise. Can we listen? Can we hear rebuke? Will we hear rebuke? That makes us wise. That makes us wise.
And our willingness to listen, and then to listen to things that we not only didn't know, but that show us that we're wrong, and a willingness to consider that, and a willingness to then change when we see that it's true, is a thing that is really a judge as to whether or not we're wise and accepting the wisdom of God. And that's why Proverbs 17:10 says the rebuke is more, that rebuke is more effective for a wise man than 100 blows on a fool. It makes a difference. It gets our attention, and it changes us.
Right, right. And of course, all of this that we're talking about, it requires focus. In fact, it requires focus on the right kinds of things, or the right things. So we have Proverbs 17 and verse 24 that says, wisdom is in the sight of him who has understanding, but the eyes of the fool are on the ends of the earth. The wise man has focused, got within his view. He has it within his view, understanding. That's what his sights are set on.
Yeah, and Proverbs 14:8, the wisdom of the prudent is to understand the way, but the folly of fools is deceit. We want to see things as they truly are. We're truly searching for truth, but fools are people who don't care if it's true or not. In fact, they might even kind of like it, that it's a deception that they can that they can perpetrate on other people.
Right. Listen to Proverbs 14, verse 6. A scoffer seeks wisdom and does not find it, but knowledge is easy to him who understands. There's some people who say they want wisdom, but every time they have wisdom presented to them, they scoff at it. They don't listen to it. They know better than that. But the person who's wise, it's easy for him to find. If he's a man of understanding, it's easy for him to see the value in what he's looking at.
I'm a little bit hard of hearing, and so when somebody is speaking to me, I sometimes have to kind of lean in and really try to listen. And I think that's kind of the picture that we're getting here in Proverbs 2 and verse 2 that says, so that you incline your ear. There you go. Those of you who have some hearing challenges, you've got a scripture right there for inclining your ear. But in this case, he's using it metaphorically to incline your ear to wisdom and apply your heart to understanding, which, by the way, he's saying the same thing twice, applying your heart to understanding, inclining your ear. What do we actually want? There are certain things that we sit up and listen to because we're really interested. There are videos that we like to watch because that's our hobby, or we're fascinated with that thing. That is exactly what he's talking about here, that we need to incline our ears to wisdom. We need to, when somebody is speaking about God and his will, and there's somebody wise among us, that we want to be around them. We want to hear what they have to say. We want to go to God's word and apply our hearts, not only to just hear it, but to really understand it.
Right. So listen to chapter 4 and verse 5. Listen carefully. Get wisdom. Get understanding. Do not forget nor turn away from the words of my mouth. We need to get it. We need to get it, and we need to not turn away when we hear it. Get
wisdom. I love that. I wonder how many of us get that, in the sense of that really is our life goal.
Right. So and I think it's what we're seeing in all of this, David, is that wisdom is not some for-all thing that can't be achieved or can't be gotten. It's something that is attainable to all of us. The question is, will we choose to look for it? Will we choose to have it? Let's try to sum up what we're saying, or conclude what we're saying, by looking at just a few more verses. Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 8 says, he who gets wisdom loves his own soul. He who keeps understanding will find good. It's to your own benefit. If you love your soul, you're going to get wisdom.
This is not just something for old geezers who are sitting in a rocking chair, blurting out, wise sayings, or on the top of a mountain as some wisdom, sharing. This is for every single one of us. God says his wisdom for living is available. And if you love it, then you're really loving your own soul. And let me just mention one more thing. So again, this is for young people, and this is for old people, and this is for all of us in between. And let me just mention that if you love the souls of your children, then you're going to introduce them to the wisdom of God. Whoever gets wisdom loves his own soul, and if you give wisdom to your children, you love their souls. You want them to have understanding. For that to happen, we're going to have to admit that we need God's help. And in the words of Proverbs 3 and verse 7, not be wise in our own eyes, fear the Lord and depart from evil. We're going to have to make a difference in what is truly wisdom from God and embrace that, rejecting other things, rejecting our own wisdom, not being wise in our own eyes. Think, as Rick said earlier, that we have it all figured out and we can follow our own ideas. When we do that, we are on the right path to finding wisdom.
Right. Proverbs 19, verse 20 and 21. Listen to counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter days. Look at that. David said that this was for younger people as well. If you want to be wise in your older days, you got to start in your younger days. And so he says, listen to counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter days. And then this one in verse 21, there are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the Lord's counsel, that will stand. Men come up with all sorts of ideas. Some of them are good. Some of them are not good at all. A lot of times men's plans are pretty iffy. But listen to what is said here. The Lord's counsel, that will stand. You can take that counsel and have confidence that the counsel of God, the wisdom of God works. And the question is, do we believe God enough to listen to his words?
That's a great way of summing up our study for today. I hope you'll join us next week. We're going to have part 2 of wisdom, and we want to do the same thing. We're going to read a lot of verses in the book of Proverbs, primarily reading and not commenting very much. And we're going to talk about what wisdom looks like in everyday life. And we'll read you some of those verses. Thanks for reading with us today. Maybe I really hope, and Rick and I both hope, that you found this word wisdom as really encouraging, because we can have the wisdom of our Creator, wisdom of our God and our Savior. We're not relying just on our own trial and error wisdom. And if you feel like you're failing and struggling and you don't know, good news. The encouraging word is that the wisdom of God is available to you. So we'll close with a reading from Proverbs 3 and verse 13. Happy is the man who, what? Happy is the man who finds wisdom and the man who gains understanding. Thanks for studying with us today.